Hey guys, good morning. A little Smart News Coffee Talk to get you started on your day. 3 things I think you should know on this Wednesday as we reach the halfway point through the week. There was really emotional testimony that happened in front of Congress yesterday that I could say is probably unexpected. No one was thinking about talking about the Victims' Compensation Fund for 9/11. This is a fund that exists to help the people and the families that were affected by 9/11 and the recovery efforts afterwards. So if you're a person that's suffering from cancer, for example, because of your recovery work at Ground Zero, you could apply to this fund to help compensate you for some of your medical needs. That's just one example of the way that the fund works. And it was determined by Congress several years ago that this is worthy of federal funds. The issue now is that some of the money is running out. It's about a $7 billion fund at this time. It was about $5 billion of it has been used, and there's thousands and thousands of claims that remain. So yesterday, in front of a House Judiciary Subcommittee, and that's really important, Jon Stewart, the comedian, who has served as an advocate on behalf of those first responders that really benefit from this fund or can benefit from this fund, gave a very passionate testimony, just really laying into lawmakers for not moving faster on this bill. A bill was introduced late last fall to add money to the fund. How much money is a question. We don't have exactly the amount. It hasn't been quote unquote scored yet for Congress. So he's mad. He's mad that this hasn't had more attention. And so he was talking to lawmakers about that yesterday. We also heard from a retired NYPD detective who today is receiving his 69th round of chemotherapy, who has benefited, he said, from the fund, but worries about his partners. So what I did today is I included 3 different quotes from different folks that have perspective on this topic. Jon Stewart, who's an advocate, the former NYPD detective who's benefiting from the fund, and also a lawmaker. And I didn't go deeper on it to kind of find out the details of this proposal that would extend the fund to 2090, which would cover the lifespan of first responders and their children, in case there is a need there as well. So I'm going to wait till we actually see the bill. Sometimes these bills get very tricky. They get tucked in with other bills and voted on. So that's important to note. One of the reasons why this video had such a viral, caught on in a viral way yesterday is because Jon Stewart was so critical of the lack of attendance at the committee hearing. But you should know that it was a subcommittee hearing. So it was a smaller group of lawmakers. According to reports, only half of those lawmakers of the 14 showed up. And Jon Stewart was really angry about that. But you should know in these subcommittee hearings, it does look less present because there are less people in the room. So I think it's valuable to know that. I placed a link to Jon Stewart's testimony and also the testimony of the NYPD detective in the link in Instagram and also on our source page online, so you can check it out. So that's just something I think you should know about, and we'll continue to watch what happens next. In the meantime, something's happening today in Iran that hasn't happened in 40 years, and that is a visit by the leader from Japan. The Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, is there, and he's there in a diplomatic role, more or less. And what he's doing is trying potentially to see if there's any way to kind of ease tension between Iran and the United States. Tensions have grown higher as the United States last year pulled out of the nuclear deal, placed more sanctions on Iran because of what's been described as malign behavior. Iran is a state sponsor of terror, dating back that designation several decades. The United States wants to change Iranian behavior and is trying to do it through sanctions. Iran's economy is really hurting. Now Iran, in some ways, is lashing out and saying to European partners in the nuclear deal, hey, we want new terms because, that's what we want in exchange for not pursuing a nuclear program. And in the meantime, you have the worst humanitarian crisis in the entire world in Yemen also heating up. So Iran-backed rebels in Yemen today bombed a regional airport in Saudi Arabia. Basically, the civil war in Yemen is a proxy war between one side that's backed by the Saudis and one side that's backed by Iran. There's different players involved. The United States has been involved, but what you should know today is that there was a bombing of a regional airport in Saudi Arabia, so it's an escalation of tensions there. So overall, we should just keep an eye on the Middle East, especially with the visit by the Japanese Prime Minister, just to continue watching what's happening. Okay, final thing that you should know today, and this is just a kind of an interesting topic of conversation. Not necessarily the sunshiny topic that I would love to talk to you about, but I think it's worthwhile because we've taken a look at different state laws when it comes to the very beginning of life, right? We've talked about state laws regarding abortion and pregnancy and women's health. Well, now we're going to take a look at state laws when it comes to the end of life and how your liberty extends or not when it comes to your health care. What I'm talking about is death with dignity laws. That's what these laws are called by advocates who want to give terminally ill people the right to end their lives on their own terms. It is not an easy thing to do. The states that have passed laws in favor of this, it can be quite difficult. You have to go through a series of evaluations, second opinions, and even those that are prescribed drugs that would allow them essentially to commit suicide, some of them don't take it. So it's an interesting topic. Maine is the latest state to pass this law through its legislature, although it was a very, very tight vote, and there's a question about whether or not the governor will actually sign it into law. So I thought it was worth you checking out today and just sort of thinking about, like, you know, I think there's a broad theme of what's happening in this country about liberty. You know, how far does liberty extend? How do we define liberty in 2019? What does that really look like? You know, on many different levels. I mean, both the very, very serious and also some sort of, you know, levels where you're like, well, hey, can I have my own plastic straw? You know what I'm saying? It's all about choices and liberty. And I think it's an interesting topic of conversation. So check out our card stack on that today and let us know what you think about it. In the meantime, email us info@smarternews.com or direct message us on social media. We read every single one of your comments and we really appreciate it. So have a great day, guys. And I'll see you tomorrow on Smarter News.